I will show you the exercise which helped me to deal with this kind of difficulties during pieces. So when I was practicing it, I was gaining good habits, and then later in pieces I had actually half of the job done. I was just changing fingerings for the scale or the passage, and it was basically already ready to play. So the method is to practice your scales in intervals, such as thirds, sixths, octaves, and decimes, to make sure that your left hand is just used to those structures and is prepared for what's coming in the piece. Let's choose at first the G major scale, which was presented also in the fragment of piece which I played, which was fragment of Mauro Giuliani's Grand Sonata Eroica. One of my favorite music pieces, by the way. It's a lovely piece of music. And music of Giuliani, Paganini, Legnani, even Sor is full of this kind of technical traps, which may be a slight difficulty for some guitarists. So what helped me was exactly this exercise. And usually, no matter the fingerings, you can figure out your own fingerings as you prefer. I use certain fingerings, but it's not obligatory to use the same as me, because the purpose of the exercise is just to let both hands get used to certain structures. Like, for example, here play two sounds at once on different variety of strings, and here to get used to switching fingers in the right moments. And there is a very particular method of exercising it. So let's start with thirds in G major. Thirds in G major will start with G and B here. And I will simply present you what fingerings do I use. But as I said before, you're absolutely not obligated to use the same fingerings as me, because this is just for the purpose of exercise, and fingerings is not what matters here, just getting used to certain movement in the left hand, particularly in the left hand. So scales in thirds and in G major, scale will sound like this. And you could see my fingerings, which I chose to do here, and which is totally irrelevant because the method of practicing is more important than the fingerings in here. So the method of exercising it is actually focused on preparation technique also. As I mentioned in previous video, a lot of things about the preparation technique is very important, because this builds your habit of getting ready for the next positions and next shifts. So both hands are prepared to be on time for the next position, and practicing slowly, it shall sound like this. Preparing both hands. The right one on the correct strings, and the left on the correct positions. And the same we can do with another intervals, but before we do that, as you could see in the musical fragment I presented, this is not just a scale played in thirds. Sometimes we will have fragments of music when you will have to separate those sounds. So instead of playing them together, you will play them sound by sound, which is, I think, equally or even more common than the first way. So let's practice the second way too, to be sure that we are ready for the piece and what is the difficulty which is coming inside. So let's say same tempo, in the beginning, this is what I recommend you, and this is what I do myself. It's practicing it very slowly with the preparation process too in both hands. So like this. And then to make things even more advanced for both hands, I practice also the same thing but playing tremolo. And this actually has few purposes, and the first one is for left hand, surprisingly, because I give my left hand less time to make this change. Because instead of playing two sounds and then change, and have this time for the break, right? And for the movement, I give myself much less time because I don't play 1, 2, change 1, 2, change 1, 2, but I play 1, 2, 3, 4, change 1, 2, 3, 4, change 1, 2, 3, 4, change 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So I have twice less time to make this change working. So that's why playing tremolo is very valuable in here for left hand, of course, for like right two to practice your tremolo first, but also to get used to playing on bass strings with your fingers, including the A finger, which is very uncommon, but actually it may be very helpful just to fix the feeling of the strings right. To me, it was game changer because I suffered from this unpleasant sound, which very often occurred for me in my case on bass strings by fingers. This one, right? I think all the guitarists are very sensitive on that, and me personally, I absolutely hate it. So I'm very, very sensitive on this sound. And what I did was setting myself a goal. Okay, I will practice also tremolo on bass strings, so I will not have this sound, this annoying sound effect while I play on basses. So I also figured out that it's good to combine those exercises. And what I do now is also practice the tremolo on the bass strings while playing the scale exercise in the intervals, which is valuable also for the left hand too. So it sounds like this. And then after, I switch to another interval to practice another variation of this exercise. For me, it's sixths, and it's a little different for both hands because here the hand is more intact and here the hand is more spread, right? The fingers are more spread. So let's go through it. I will show you my fingerings also, which you can feel free to use it. I can share also my fingerings on paper if some of you will want to use it. The thing is that also about reading the scales from the score, I think it's much more valuable to fix your fingering yourself and to try to remember it as fast as possible without looking on paper, but rather try to fight your mind and brain. Where are you? Because this is how you build your instinct, your intuition, and your musical knowledge actually, because you will know that if in G major scale we have F sharp, I now have to play F sharps. I cannot have a backup in a score. I have to just remember it, and you will force yourself to maybe not force, but challenge yourself to think a little bit more intense in the beginning, but then later, after next scale, you will pick. It will be, let's say, A major or E major or A minor. It will be so much more easy because you will be conscious of what you are playing, which is very valuable actually in this case. So let's play the sixths. I start them here. Um, And then later, of course, I do the separate sounds and the tremolos, as you could see in the other example of thirds. And as you could see, I also take care about the preparation process. In the slow to medium tempo, this is important because this is exactly what you need for the building this habit, right, of preparation and certainty for your left hand. This type of intuition connected with confidence that okay, my hand somehow automatically knows where is the next sound because you played so many scales in intervals in your life that it's gonna be just automatic, and you just apply new language, meaning new scale, new tonality, new fingering, and the fingers will follow, right? And it's pretty common after some time of practicing this exercise. So just to keep the things in the process, I will play for you the separated sound so you can see that the preparation process is just a tiny bit different than in the third example, because here will be one thing in these intervals that is very much visible, and I want you to pay attention to one thing about preparation of left hand fingers, which is quite important because what you do is going not one but two steps in advance. So we start here again, right? And now we will play AC with finger 4 and 3, but second finger is still here. Why? Because now I just do this and it's ready, right? So when I move this finger, it's again ready, and fourth finger, as you can see, is prepared here. And in the sixths, it's very visible how to prepare that. And it will help you to keep the same position of your left hand more or less through all the fingerboard, right? And it's gonna be quite simple. Another thing which I want you to pay attention in general for those interval exercise is to not be afraid of using third and fourth finger in places like this. And then here, right? So some of you may be tempted to move this, right? And I was myself too, and I was very, very weak at playing 4-3 here, the fingers 4-3 here in this type of places, or even in thirds, right? That was for me my Achilles heel, the weak point, which I couldn't recover from, so I managed to motivate myself enough to practice this exercise really a lot to master the third and fourth finger in those positions, and now it's much easier for me, and I encourage you to do so because as you would see in this piece of Giuliani, there are also those fingers are also used, so it's very, very important, and moreover it's practical for you to just practice that because you will use that later in the pieces. It will become easy at some point, right? And then later I practice octaves, which are kind of the simplest, right? Because we don't have to think about two different sounds, it's just doubling the same sound, so it's G, G, A, A, etc., right? But let's play it through to show you anyway. And then the separate sounds. And always in your mind, take care about the preparation so it is as accurate as it can be at the moment, because the faster the tempo will be, the less preparation you will be able to provide for your hand. So that's the moment now when you practice slow, medium tempo to actually care about that. And also tremolo, of course. And then I play the decims, which are the largest, nice sounding interval, I would say, right? So it's a lot of them in the music of Giuliani, of Paganini. Also, like when you play some sonatas or capriccios, it's very important to make sure that your fingers can automatically follow some kind of decims, because then after it will become automatic. But this exercise is particularly good for this type of music, right? The classical romantic period, they use it a lot, right? So let's start here with G and B, and you can start also in slow tempo, making sure that you practice it with the preparation method all the time, right? And then the separate sounds. And the tremolo, of course. And this is all what I do to make sure that I'm prepared for this type of places. This was my daily warm up for a little bit more than 6 months, and eventually it doesn't take a lot of time. It's maybe 4 or 5 minutes in the beginning of my practice session, and actually it gave me an incredible effect in this type of places like the Giuliani I showed you in the beginning, which is actually full with decims, right? And then later the scale. Which is very tricky if you never practice this type of exercises, because then your hand doesn't also have this kind of relaxation habit between the changes, which is also very important, and it's a little different when you go up and when you go down. So this exercise is very multi-purpose exercise. It's a very nice method, which is very simple, not time consuming, and really efficient. So from the bottom of my heart, I encourage you to discover more. Of course, you can pick another scale if you are playing currently more pieces in A major or E major. Just don't hesitate and choose another scale. Or you can challenge yourself and choose E flat major, for example, just to prove yourself and your technique that you are on even higher level. As soon as you realize that it works, you are just able to basically repeat it in any pattern you want, in any piece you want, and then later when you practice this kind of fragment in the piece already of music, you already have those habits. So you apply the universal solution for particular places in the pieces. It's not like wasting your time of practicing exercise which you will never use in practice, because this is something you use in almost every piece in classical music, right? And I just have so many pieces right now which I actually was working on, and I never thought about practicing those places that way, because I already did practice the scales that way, and thanks to that I saved tons of time on practicing the things which I really have to focus on, instead of focusing on something I could have practiced in my warm-ups. And the most important is, of course, to enjoy your path and all the discoveries which you make during exercising this method, because you will discover plenty of things for sure, individually for you, including how to put fingerings on your scales, right? For example, and I found my solutions. They may be not perfect for you, but you can figure out your solution for fingerings. You can let me know in the comment section what are your perfect fingerings for this type of scales, and maybe you have also a different method of practicing it. I'm really curious, maybe I can learn something from you. Anyway, I hope it helps. I hope it was a nice dose of inspiration for you. Thank you for watching. Enjoy your guitar time.